Hey, everybody, how's it going? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. And joining me today, it's Flyperbole himself. That's right. It's Steve Jaco. What's going on today, Steve?
Hey, Bill. Doing good. Getting back in the hockey flow right now. You know, we've had a big month. We had, the Eagles Super Bowl run and then Four Nations. Like, I was in the hockey flow, but not the specific Flyers flow.
It feels a little weird to be doing a pre and post game today. It's been a couple of weeks. It was fun watching Four Nations. It was fun having stakes in every game, but it not being the Flyers, where it's like, oh, actually, do I want them to lose? But I love the
with the Flyers.
It was just kind of fun getting into watching some hockey, and now it's back to the club teams, and it's back to getting into the Flyers, and
it's back to thinking about the 5-year plan and all that. It's weird to think about big picture stuff after having this just like, we win today, and that's all that matters, baby. It's all about winning today.
A 2-week sprint for the Four Nations Cup or Bowl or whatever it was.
Yeah. Listen, it meant a lot to the guys. Like,
they seem to care quite a bit.
I was questioning going into the tournament, like, how much these guys were getting up for this, how much this would mean to guys. They really brought it.
They did. That was some of both USA-Canada games, couple of the best games I think I've seen in a long, long time, especially for, like, low-scoring defensive. Like, it was just such well-executed hockey. Like, the hockeying was so good.
I just remember the first game, which was Canada-Sweden, I believe.
Yeah.
And Canada gets on this power play right off the bat. And they do, like, 3 of the, like, sickest passes I've ever seen to set up that goal. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like, it was so cool to watch.
It was really cool. I was talking to Charlie right after that. It was like, dude, the referees might not call penalties in this simply because it's giving Canada a goal. But, like, the hockey was just so good. Like, there just weren't that many penalties. And I mentioned this to Charlie. I was like, yeah, what'd you think of the officiating? Seemed pretty good. Like, they didn't want to call penalties, but also it wasn't like there's, oh, what are you doing out there? He's like, well, when you think about it, who commits most of the penalties? Third and fourth liners. Who wasn't in this tournament? Those guys. It's all dudes who can keep up with each other. That makes sense.
No D-Los allowed here.
Yeah, but here we are now. Four Nations break, that 2-week All-Star break behind us, Steve. Trade deadline is in under 2 weeks. Flyers, this is the first of their final 25 games. And take a look at the standings. This is where we are in the, I guess you could still call it wild card race. The only team below Philly in the East is the Buffalo Sabres. They have this home and home with the Penguins after this. That could be huge for draft lottery positioning. But this is what we are looking at in the Eastern Conference. Coming in, the Flyers are 6th from the bottom overall in the league. My God, the West is bad.
So bad.
There's just some really good and really bad teams. And the East is like, yeah, there's like 4 teams that could potentially win the Cup and a whole bunch of other teams that have like 50 points. And that's where we are now as we get ready for these final 25. What the hell are you expecting from this team now, Steve?
I have no idea what to expect from this team. And one of the big things is, like, the past few games we saw before the break, they were seriously undermanned. Like, they did not have a lot of NHL talent in the lineup. They had a lot of AHL talent in there, but not a lot of NHL talent. So a lot of those guys come back today. So I don't know what to expect. I will say, as far as my personal, like, what I'm looking for as a Flyers podcaster for the rest of the season, I'm looking for Matvei Michkov. I'm looking to see how he progresses with his career and how he comes back well rested from this break. I'm looking for Samuel Ersson because regardless of who comes up in the goaltending over the next couple of years, Sam Ersson is going to have to be involved in some way. They simply have no other choice. Like, even if he's the backup or a tandem guy, like, he has to be there. So I want to see him finish strong. And then, I'm looking for guys like Tyson Forster, Noah Cates, Bobby Brink, like, see what they bring for the remainder of the season.
Because I was having this conversation yesterday with Charlie and Kelly. Like, if a strong finish here, because it feels like we're winding down. It feels like the season is reaching like a conclusion. Again, 2 weeks from now, the Flyers play 6 games in between now and the trade deadline. But 25 games, 2.5 months, that's like a pretty good chunk of the season. That's over a quarter of the season left. Like, if Tyson Foerster right now to me, like, this was my example. Tyson Foerster right now to me, I look at him the same as I did last year. Nice player, 20 goals, good two-way battle guy. Didn't take a huge step, though. What if he has 10, 12 goals in the final 25 games? Like, does that totally change your perception? If Cam York all of a sudden looks really good and you're going into this contract negotiation, like, yeah, maybe they do think about locking him up long-term. Like, can guys, obviously we want to see Michkov, like, use this rest, get hot, maybe get himself back into the Calder race. Like, other than that, can anyone change your perception now with this final, like, again, over a quarter of the season left?
Erson's my biggest guy, is who I keep coming back to, because Ersson has a legit chance to show that he can be, if not a number one, at least a tandem guy moving forward. But York's an interesting one, too, because York's kind of had an underwhelming season. You know, we like him.
Yeah, like,
I don't think I have complaints.
We know
like,
he's good.
Yeah, we know he's good, but I want to see more out of him.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for a lot of those guys that maybe are on the precipice. Like, I'm hoping that maybe they make some sort of trade on defense where we can get an extended look at Emil Andre. That would be really cool. And, you know, Foerster, we mentioned, he's actually on the verge of surpassing his point total from last season.
Yeah.
So there is progress, but I want to see more. I want to see him specifically score some goals, because we've seen the defensive acumen at this point. Like, we know that he can play defense really well, but I want to see that goal scoring, that shot that we heard about when he was first drafted.
It sneaks up on goalies from time to time. He doesn't seem to be able to get it off quickly enough, consistently enough to score more than like the 20 he had last year, the 20 or so he's on pace for this year. Like, I would like to see, I think Tyson Foerster has a lot. And yeah, we talked about Sam Ersson yesterday as a guy who I want to see him finish strong because of how he finished last season. And I think the same kind of goes for Sean Couturier, Charlie brought up. Like,
that's a good one right there.
Guys who were so bad to end last year, I want to see them, all right, at least it wasn't that. At least it wasn't they completely fell off the face of the earth, and as a full season contributor, we cannot count on them a little bit, because like, it's going to be Sam Ersson in some respect. Like, they like Kolosov a lot. He is clearly not ready. They like Zavragin. Brent Flair just came out and told Charlie, yeah, it's going to be a few years. He's not, he ain't coming early. Like, we like how they develop goalies over there, and they're not going to let him out of his contract, so it doesn't matter anyway. He's not coming. Like, Bjarnason turns pro next year. You got to believe he's going to get at least 1 year in the AHL.
And he should.
Yeah, as he should.
As he should. Kolosov.
Ersson is going to be a part of this until, like, one of those guys goes, I'm the man. You know, or it's just Sam Ersson in a tandem forever. Like, I want to see him do that, because it's their best chance of actually having at least a semi-dependable guy.
His one game in the Four Nations tournament, he was actually great in. So, like, I know he's got it in him. It's just a matter of consistency and staying healthy. And Couturier is a great one to bring up, too, because it's because of his contract. Sean Couturier ain't going anywhere for a little bit.
Can't buy him out.
It's going to take a couple years for you to get to the point where it makes sense to buy him out. So Sean Couturier is a guy you need. And that's also, he's one of the few guys who can actually play center the way that center is supposed to be played. So I want to see Sean Couturier. I know he's not going to play like pre-injury Sean Couturier, right?
I think we've got to the point where we can say that guy's gone.
He is long gone. But guess what? There is a guy that we've seen flashes of that is a very competent 2-3 center moving forward.
That's like the difference between overpaid bottom 6 center and, dude, you're paying $8 million basically to be in the press box is wildly different. Like, you can live with one as long as you like make decent financial decisions otherwise. And the other thing is just this anchor. That's, you look at how like Minnesota, you know, starts the year great. They're having good season, and you just look and go, what can they do though? Like, they have this anchor of money around them that just kind of, it lowers their cap. Like, they have a lower cap than everyone else because they're dealing with the buyouts of Suter and Parise. I think this is the last year of that. But like, you don't want nearly $8 million, but like, that's such a big hole. And I realize with the cap going up, we're going to say, oh, well, you know, you can live with it. How many you can live with it can you, you know, because if Owen Tippett doesn't become a 35-goal guy, yeah, you can live with it, but it's not surplus value. Like, it just, you need surplus value somewhere, and you at least need guys living up to something. I think Sean Couturier showing that he can be an overpaid 3C is like, it would save this team at least in the short term.
It's going to be huge for this team because, again, they need centers. They don't have guys who can play the position right now. Like, Cates has had flashes of doing it. Like, Cates has definitely had some times where he's been good. And that's it because they
traded Morgan Frost.
I've forgotten what the team looks like over the past 2 weeks, and it's going to look like a completely different team today. I'm excited for this lineup.
And that's where it gets us to with today's lineup. Charlie has said that everyone's back. Everyone is back. And also Jacob Peltier will be making his debut, and now we actually have the lines as well. So Cates Forster Brink is back together. Coots with Tippett and Michkov is kind of interesting. Lawton with Konechny and Kuzmenko. That's just a chaos line right there. That's honestly, that's kind of fun. I want to see.
Oh yeah, I'm into that.
I mean, like, we always Paling with Peltier making his debut, and Hathaway, York Sandheim, Sealer, Drysdale, Zamula, Risto on the back end. I want to talk about the defense in a second, but yeah, Kuzmenko, Lawton, Konechny. Now, we've said with the lineup all year, and now without Farabee and Frost, like, let's say what you will about either of them. They're legitimate top 9 NHL players. They're no longer here. There were never good answers for this lineup to begin with. And now it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Lawton, Kuzmenko, Konechny, sure.
Thrill. Like, if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts line.
That could be a lot of fun. I want to see those guys play together. That's going to be cool. I want to see Kuzmenko and Michkov on a power play together. Maybe let's get Michkov back on the right side boards, though. That would be cool.
That would be nice. And I'm glad to see, Tippett, Couturier, Michkov today. I'm into that line big time.
You have some speed with Tippett. Yeah. Tippett and Michkov, I thought, didn't work at first. They started to develop some chemistry, and then they got away from it. So I'm looking forward to those two. And I think Couturier has been Michkov's best center this year. So we'll see how that goes.
We missed Tippett a lot over the past few games, too. Tippett was a guy who, again, he's inconsistent in what he brings. He does bring speed into this lineup every night, and this is a team that needs any bit of speed they can get.
And I know, again, the scoring inconsistency, and when he's off and missing the net, it drives us nuts, and he does that way too much. But they only have so many guys that you can put out there and go, yeah, man, they have a legitimate chance to score on this shift. Mm-hmm. Michkov, but we've seen the struggles he's had. It seemed like he was coming right back on before the break. Hopefully this rest. Travis Konechny, been right in and out of the top 10 in scoring all year. He's been excellent. Other than that, you take Tippett out of this lineup and you go, how do they ever score? Whoever scores for this team? And at least having him back gives them some potential for some offensive pop. And when he's on, he's really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I'm also really intrigued by Peltier. I have no idea what this guy is. He was the unknown in the deal. Kuzmenko's a guy, you've heard the name. You look at the numbers. He obviously has a very high ceiling, but he also has a very low floor. So I have no idea what to expect from him on a given night. But Peltier, I just heard he's a nice player. And, he's playing on a line that also has two nice players.
Yeah, he's been described as energetic, scrappy. He's a little smaller, but he doesn't play small.
Wow. I've never heard that on the Flyers before.
Yeah, that's it's Calgary fans seem to believe we would enjoy watching him play. I'm getting the impression it's maybe combination of Lawton and Hathaway. Oh boy. Charlie said there's some similarities just in play style to Denver Barkey, so maybe that's something to look for. But listen, that fourth line again, I don't know. It could be an interesting line to watch today. Peltier, we're interested in. Paling is back. It's good to see him because clearly the concussion affected him quite dramatically. It's good to see him back. But
I know Torts missed bailing out there.
He certainly
He's
did.
a big Torts guy.
I mean, they just missed having a guy whose position is center. Like, you play center? Well, not really. Well, guess what? You're playing.
Like, they did not want to put Scott Lawton back at center, and they're like, well, I guess we have to.
Such is life.
Until he gets traded.
Well, listen, the league needs centers. Everyone seems to think Scott Lawton's a center. Let's play him there for a couple weeks and
let's
see
showcase him, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But I'm going to talk about the defense quickly. Zamula also making his return, as well as Rasmus Ristolainen, who seemed like he could have played right before the break. And it was a little bit of a surprise to me he didn't go to Four Nations, which I thought was a break for us because, no injury possibility there. Yeah, and the way that tournament was played, like, it was not an all-star game. There was a legitimate possibility of injury.
We saw fights, we saw big hits, and people were grinding it out.
Absolutely.
The U.S. in particular suffered some big injuries in that. So, yeah, we did dodge a bullet there. And I'm surprised just because, like, it seemed like Risto in particular was very excited to play for Finland.
Yeah.
So to not see him in there was interesting. But, again, I don't know exactly what the extent of his injury was. So,
yeah, it's tough. He's the league secretive, and it seems as if he keeps a tight lid on that stuff as well. We never know actually what's the matter with Rasmus Ristolainen, but with Zamula back, it's a little disappointing. Now, I'm glad he's healthy, and that's great. But I'm watching some Phantoms clips, some of their highlights on Twitter last night. I see Emil Andre with a clap bomb from the point, and I'm just like, yeah, there's not a guy on this team who can do that. I would like to see him do that in the NHL, and it just feels as if until there's some other movement, like a Risto trade or something or another injury, it's just not Andre's time yet.
I miss the clap bombs, Bill. Like, that's been the number one thing I've missed on this team since Shane Gostisbehere got disgracefully traded away by Chuck Fletcher. What an awful trade. But, man, that ghost slap shot was the best. And, like, one of the most exciting things in hockey, right? Like,
when
breakaways are obviously exciting,
like,
but
anything could be happening.
when they wind up. I thought John LeClair growing up, like, that was the greatest feeling when John LeClair wound up and took a huge slapper. Like, yeah. Like, when Michkov did that one game, that, like, I stood up from my couch. I was like, yeah,
yes,
let's go.
And it's just, like, I think distance shots are down this year. Like, it's one of the reasons that save percentages are down. It's because teams are shooting a little less, and they're shooting from way closer. But for this team in particular, like we just said, that cannot score. Like, their offensive strategy really needs to be crash the net and get a shot from the point. Like, Emil Andre could do that, and I just want to see him, but at least not yet, I suppose, even though it's pretty clear he's an NHL caliber player. Like, he's not a finished product yet. He's a long way to go. But when you look at this blue line, you go, he's better than at least half the guys.
Oh, yeah.
He might be their second or third best defenseman.
For sure. I mean, the defense literally played better when he was in there. And I think at this point, this is all despite Charlie. You know, Charlie spoke up, and Tortsy said, oh, no, Charlie, hold your horses. And I know about horses because I was kicked in the face by one time.
That's funny. That came up twice in 2 days. But we were just laughing. It was Charlie. It was Emil Andre's first game after getting recalled up, and Charlie just had to take a little victory lap. He's like, after telling me specifically he's not a top 4 defenseman, he immediately brings him back up and plays him 20 minutes. Like, thank you, Torts. Like, maybe there is some element of maybe not to spite Charlie, but just we can't give this kid too much too soon. The fans like him too much.
Oh, Tortsy loves to bring us down a peg.
I will say, when Andre comes back up, we need a new number for that kid. Him and Michkov look almost exactly the same on the ice.
Thank you. It drives me nuts. I cannot tell them apart.
It is impossible to tell them apart.
They're both smaller guys too, and they're like not stocky, but like a little bit like they're small and like a little filled out. So it's like they're very similar profiles on the ice.
Lefties, they're exactly the same. I can almost tell Forster and Tippett apart better than I can Andre and Michkov. They look so similar. But let's get to today's bets, Steve. This pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call Gambler. All right, a pair of bets today to get back on track here. First one I don't think is all that crazy. Connor McDavid over 1.5. He's got an 11-game point streak going against the Flyers right now. 9 goals, 27 points in these 11 games.
Is that good?
He's over 2 points a game in his last 11 against the Flyers. And we were saying on the elevator on the way up, like, just scored, the golden goal or whatever the hell you want to call it for the Four Nations. Like, one of the biggest goals of his career.
That might be the biggest goal of his career.
This is kind of okay. It's McDavid's time. They're trying to win a division. They're trying to lock up home ice. I think this one could get a little out there today. I think it could get a little loose. I'm going to take McDavid at least 2 points at -115.
That's a good one.
And then I'm going to take, again, Sam Ersson over 26.5 saves at -115. Off for 2 weeks. Could be a little loose defensively. Like, they haven't practiced with Torch yet because he just got back.
All these guys just got back in the lineup. Half their lineup wasn't playing.
It's a totally different team than the one that played 2 weeks ago, the last time they were all on the ice together. Guys coming back from injury. Like, Kuzmenko's played 1 game with this group. Peltier's making his debut. All these dudes back from injury. I think it could be a little loose. I think Sam could have a heavy workload. I'm going to take over 26.5 saves for him today.
Not only do you have a fired-up McDavid, but you also have a well-rested Leon Draisaitl, which is just... Come on, that guy's unbelievable.
I was just like putting this together. We always do like the fourth topic on the sidebar, the other team. And it's like, it's not the other team. It's 2 guys. And like, listen, they have some excellent players, no doubt about it. But it's 2 guys. And like, their credentials are freaking insane. Like, just this season, for instance, Connor McDavid, 22 goals, 71 points in 49 games. He's played under 50 games, and he's 4th in the league in points and points a game. And not to be outdone, Leon Draisaitl leads the league in goals with 40, 83 points in 55 games. That's 2nd most in the league behind only McKinnon. He's 3rd in points a game. He is unfreaking believable how ridiculously productive these dudes are.
Let's also put into the fact that they have a defenseman who has 44 points right now in Evan Bouchard. Like, they are just like those top 2 guys are unbelievable, but then they have Bouchard, they got Ekholm a few years back. Like, they really, Hyman can score goals. Like, they are just, what a team. And it's going to be really funny when they don't win the cup again.
It's wild. Like, I have just looking at all their accomplishments. You see, like, the 2019-20 season when Draisaitl won everything because McDavid was out a little while. And McDavid, like, a down year for him is finishing 5th in MVP voting. Like, that's 8 straight years he's finished top 5 in MVP voting. He's won, 5? He's won 3 actual Hearts, led the league in points 5 times, once in goals. He won the Conn Smythe in a losing effort last season. It is unbelievable how good these guys are. And it is wild that, they could win the cup this year. It's possible, but they're not the odds-on favorite.
They're not the odds-on favorite, and they have 2 of the best players, 2 of the arguably like top 5 players in the league. It's ridiculous.
I would say, especially if, like, McDavid, I think there's more of a case for McKinnon. That, like, McDavid's the best player in the world, full stop. And there's more of a case for McKinnon than maybe you'd want to think, but, like, it's McDavid.
It's McDavid.
And then, like, Draisaitl, I don't know. Yeah, he has McDavid, but we see again, like in the 1920 season when McDavid was out, he led the league in everything.
Yeah, he's done it without him. They're just unbelievable talents. I was talking with my co-host Ryan Quigley on Hyperbole yesterday about McDavid's goal in the Four Nations game and the fact that that was like a really impressive goal, right? But like compared to what we see from Connor McDavid on a nightly basis as hockey fans, like it was a great showcase for the rest of the world, but we see pure magic from him like every other night. Like you see the highlights and it's always like, oh yeah, McDavid just blew through like 4 guys like they were nothing, lifted 3 sticks, went under the legs, like went through the McDonald's arch and scored a goal. Like he just is, he's magical out there. And it's just funny. Like people are going to say, oh, it was a nice goal, but it's like, no. That's not even the tip of the iceberg with him.
And like just seeing, it's been a while for these two. You feel like, oh, they're like the next generation of guys. since 16-17, and that's their first like full season together. They're first and second in the league in points. McDavid's over 1,000, and Draisaitl is like 50 up on McKinnon, who I think is in third.
It's like criminal that these two guys play on the same team and haven't won a cup. Like it's wild to think about.
We know we only have a couple minutes left, and I wanted to make sure maybe we'll do this more in post game. We'll see how the game goes. But I wanted to get your thoughts because I thought this was right up your alley. The plane ride.
Oh my God.
So, they've been together and Draisaitl re-signed, and everyone is kind of like, all right, we're just waiting. It's a countdown to McDavid's extension. But I do think it's like, when I say more likely than you think that he doesn't re-sign, I'm talking about like maybe 10%. Just because he's going to be due like $20 million a season.
And he deserves it.
That's legitimately what he should get. Also, the Canadian dollar, that's like 50 million Canadian dollars a season. And this is an organization that one time after winning 4 cups went, we're not paying for this anymore. We're not doing this. Wayne Gretzky, you're the greatest ever, and we win the cup every year, but we're just not doing this anymore. It's possible, but like, again, 90% at least that I'm just saying, I hope they were tampering their asses off on that plane.
So you're telling me there's a chance, Bill? So you're telling me there's a chance? Whatever it takes.
If it's
I
fractional,
don't care if you have to like trade Brady to the Oilers, if you have to, I don't know, just an annual cheesesteak shipment. We send them the Liberty Bell. Whatever it takes to bring McDavid to Philly, like let's make it happen because he is such a special talent. And like, obviously, I'm not getting my hopes up for this. That's insane to get your hopes up for this.
Yeah.
But the plane ride, so we got the plane ride, the charter ride,
and it's common courtesy like,
with Konechny and Sanheim.
They're all going to the same place.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's like, hey, just hop on board, bud. And by the way, can we show you all these amenities? Do you want to go to Sahav tonight?
It's the Oilers probably already here. They're all like towards Sanheim, like TK. They're all in that gold medal game as well. They're all going to the same place. It's common courtesy. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. I don't think it's anything to read into, but it is an opportunity. Just wedge that door open a little tiny bit.
Tamper
your asses off, boys. But that leads us to today's game. And, okay, cool. No super chats. So, Steve, that will just about do it for us. This has been PHLY Flyers Pregame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Before we get out of here, tomorrow, that's right, tomorrow, you got to come out and check out the Flyers Charities Carnival. Tickets still available on the Flyers website. Me, Charlie, and Kelly hosting a live show from 11 to 12:30. Awesome guests planned. We have some other stuff that hasn't been confirmed yet, but we're really looking forward to. It's going to be a ton of fun. And, of course, Charlie and I return to the dunk tank so you can come out and dunk us in oddly warm Zamboni water. It's fun for everybody. It's going to be a great time. The Flyers Carnival, always a great day. One of my favorite things that we get to participate in every year. Really looking forward to going back. Fun for the whole family, so come on out tomorrow. Flyers Charities Carnival at the Wells Fargo Center. Check out our live show, all that. Dunk us. Dunk us, baby. All right, that's it for us. My name is Bill Matz. That is Steve Jaco. Until postgame, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.